This is how you know you'll be successful. You keep doing the things most people give up on. That one line says it all. Success doesn't arrive by chance. It shows itself in your daily behavior. It's in the way you get up when you don't feel like it. It's in the way you keep your word to yourself when nobody else cares. It's in the way you stay focused when boredom hits and distractions surround you. People often ask, how can I tell if I'm really going to make it? The answer isn't found in what you talk about. It's found in what you practice. Do you keep working on bad days? Do you choose growth even when people doubt you? Do you push yourself without waiting for motivation? If the answer is yes, then you already hold the proof inside you. Stay with me, because this is how you know you'll be successful. Number one, prove you can control yourself when no one watches. Success begins when a person decides to control themselves, especially when no one is watching. Anyone can act disciplined when eyes are on them, when someone is checking their progress, when applause or criticism is waiting at the end. But true success is built in private. It is born in those moments when nobody will know what you chose. Nobody will see if you cut corners, and nobody will clap if you did the hard thing. That is the real test of who you are becoming. Because success is not about public recognition. It is about private standards. When you wake up in the morning and decide whether to hit the alarm or get up and do the work, that is your test. Nobody will ever know if you slept another hour. Nobody will post your picture online for pushing through your fatigue. But you will know. Your mind will know. Your spirit will know. That one choice is not small. It shapes your identity. Every time you control yourself in private, you prove you are building the strength required for success. Think of how many times people give in when nobody is around. They eat what they promised themselves they would avoid. They scroll for hours, even though they plan to read. They leave a task unfinished because no one will call them out. And then they wonder why life does not move forward. The truth is simple. You do not become successful because of what you do when others are watching. You become successful because of what you do in the silence, in the hidden hours, in the private spaces where your character is tested. Self-control is not about punishment. It is about freedom. When you can control yourself, you are free from the chains of laziness, excuses, and regret. You are not pulled in every direction by feelings or moods. You make choices based on what builds your future, not what comforts you in the moment. That is power. That is how you know you are on the road to success. Every successful person you admire has mastered this truth. They built their empire in the hours no one else saw. They practiced when others slept. They read while others wasted time. They worked through fatigue while others waited for motivation. And they did it not for applause, but because they demanded it from themselves. Success is never an accident. It is a demand you place on yourself when no one else can. Ask yourself, what do you do when nobody is looking? Do you keep your word to yourself? Do you still follow your plan? Or do you wait for accountability from someone else? If you can only perform when a boss is checking, when family is watching, when friends are praising, then you are not yet ready for success. Because the truth is that most of your journey will be private. Most of the effort will be unseen. Most of the hours will be silent. You must be strong enough to win those hours. Otherwise, you will never hold success for long. Self-control shows up in the smallest detail. Do you close the book after 2 pages because it feels boring? Or do you finish the chapter because you promised yourself you would learn something new today? Do you break your diet when nobody is around? Or do you stay disciplined because your health is your responsibility? Do you spend your money wisely when no one sees your wallet? Or do you waste it and hope to cover it up later? These choices define you more than your words, more than your goals, more than your dream. You will be known by your habits, and your habits are built in the quiet moments when nobody is watching. I want you to picture a day in your life, from the moment you wake up until the time you sleep. Notice how many decisions you make when no one else is around. That is the majority of your life. That is where your future is being decided. If you cannot control yourself in those hours, you will never build the consistency required to reach your goals. Success requires more than desire. It requires self-control strong enough to win when there is no pressure, no spotlight, no audience. The hardest part about this truth is that it demands honesty. You cannot lie to yourself and it results. You cannot pretend you are disciplined when deep down you know you are not. You cannot tell you are serious about success if you keep breaking your own rules. Success requires a private contract with yourself, and self-control is the signature on that contract. Without it, the deal is broken. Think about the people who struggle for years and never move forward. They set goals. They get excited. They even make progress for a short time. But then, when no one is holding them accountable, they slide back into old habits. They rely on public pressure instead of private standards. That is why their results never last. Because lasting success comes only when you can demand the best of yourself, even when there is no one to impress. How do you build this level of self-control? You start with small commitments and follow them through. If you say you will wake up at a certain time, then wake up at that time. If you promise yourself 1 hour of study, then give yourself that hour with full focus. If you commit to a workout, then finish it, no matter how you feel. These small victories compound. Each one builds your inner strength. Each one teaches your mind that you can be trusted. Each one proves you are in control. The real power is this: when you can control yourself, you can trust yourself. And when you trust yourself, your confidence grows. You no longer need someone else to push you. You no longer depend on others to hold you accountable. You stand strong on your own foundation. That is confidence at its purest. That is success in the making. It will not be easy at first. Your old habits will fight you. Your emotions will argue with you. Your mind will search for excuses. But you push through that resistance. If you win that inner battle, you will feel a strength that no applause could ever give. That strength will follow you everywhere, in your work, your health, your relationships, your goal. It will be the anchor that keeps you steady when life gets difficult. Self-control is not about being perfect. It is about being committed. Even if you slip, even if you fall, what matters is that you get back up and demand better from yourself again. Every day is another chance to prove you can control yourself. Every day is another opportunity. Then a day, strengthen your character. And with every day, you move closer to the success you want. This is how you know you will be successful. You do not need the world to push you. You do not need someone watching you. You do not wait for encouragement to act. You do what you said you would do. You keep promises to yourself. You control your actions regardless of how you feel. That is strength. That is discipline. That is the road to success. If you want to measure your chances for success, do not count your followers, your likes, your applause, your support. Count the number of times you followed through when nobody saw. Count the number of times you stayed disciplined in silence. Count the moments you could have quit but chose not to. That is the measure of a person who is destined to succeed. So take control of yourself in one small way. Prove to yourself that you can win in private. Build on that tomorrow and the next day. And then over time, those victories will stack so high that nobody will be able to deny the results. Your life will speak for itself, because success always shows up where self-control has been planted. Remember, you do not become successful by accident. You become successful by proving again and again that you can control yourself when no one is watching. That is how you build strength. That is how you build discipline. And that is how you build a life worth living. Number 2, do the hard task first instead of delaying it. Success is a very simple test. And one of the clearest is this: you tackle the hardest task first instead of putting it off. People who rise above average do not wait until the end of the day when their energy is drained, or until tomorrow when excuses have piled up. They face the most demanding part of their work at the beginning. They understand that progress is built by doing what others avoid. When you delay the difficult, it grows heavier in your mind. You carry it like a weight throughout the day. It steals your focus. It makes even the small tasks feel harder. Because in the back of your mind, you know the real challenge is still waiting. Successful people break that cycle. They choose to confront the hardest task head on. By doing it first, they free themselves. They remove the stress. They build momentum. And they set a tone of discipline that carries into everything else. Look closely at your daily routine. The things that push you forward the most are usually the things you resist the most. Writing the proposal, making the uncomfortable call, starting the workout, reading the book that stretches your thinking. These are the things you push aside. You tell yourself you will do them later. Later becomes tomorrow. Tomorrow becomes next week. Before long, the opportunity is gone. This is why most people never reach their goals. They let delay steal their future. When you train yourself to do the hard task first, you begin to separate yourself from the crowd. It is not just about productivity. It is about character. Every time you confront difficulty instead of hiding from it, you teach your mind that you are stronger than resistance. You begin to trust yourself. You begin to see proof that you are capable of more than you're feeling. That trust builds confidence, and confidence builds success. Think about mornings. Mornings set the direction of your day. If you choose to handle the hardest thing first, your energy is high, your willpower is fresh, and your mind is clear. You attack the problem at your strongest moment. Compare that with waiting until the evening. By then, you are tired, distracted, and less committed. It is not about motivation. It is about timing. Successful people respect timing. They know that their best energy must be invested in the biggest task. There is also a psychological truth at work. When you start your day with something difficult and you finish it, your brain releases a deep sense of accomplishment. That sense fuels you. You suddenly find the smaller tasks easier. You are no longer fighting resistance, because you already proved to yourself that you can handle the toughest part. The day feels lighter. You are not haunted by what you avoided. You are powered by what you conquered. Delaying has its own cost. Every time you avoid the hard thing, you train your mind to believe that okas are acceptable. You weaken your own self-respect. You become skilled at finding reasons instead of finding solutions. That pattern eats away at potential. It kills ambition quietly, day by day. People do not fail overnight. They fail by delaying the important again and again. Doing the hard task first is about building discipline into your identity. Discipline is not about punishment. It is about priority. It is about deciding that what matters most gets your energy before anything else. If you only handle the easy things, you are never stretched. You never grow. You stay in the cycle of comfort. Comfort does not produce success. Success is born from struggle. Struggle handled early builds a foundation for everything else. Ask yourself, what are the hardest tasks in your life right now? The ones you avoid, the ones you push away. Write them down. Notice how long they have been on your list. Days, weeks. Those tasks are not just sitting there. They are shaping you. They are creating stress, guilt, and doubt. The longer you wait, the harder they feel. The only way to break free is to face them first. That choice will immediately begin to shift your life. When you do the hardest thing first, you also send a message to yourself that you take your goals seriously. You are not casual about your future. You are not careless with your time. You are intentional. That kind of self-respect changes how you carry yourself. You become sharper. You stand taller. You think bigger. Other people notice it too. They see that you are reliable. They see that you are consistent. Opportunities often come to those who are seen as dependable. And dependability is built by finishing the hard work without delay. Think of how many people live with regret because they delayed too much. They delayed investing in their skills, and now they feel behind. They delayed fixing their health, and now they face problems they could have avoided. They delayed building relationships, and now they feel alone. They delayed their dreams, and now they wonder if it is too late. The lesson is clear. Delay steals years. Facing the hard thing first gives you back your time, your health, your relationships, and your future. What makes this principle powerful is that it does not require talent. Anyone can do it. You do not need special skills or a high IQ. You simply need the courage to face discomfort right away. That is the doorway to Taurus. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the choice to act despite it. When you choose to act first, you show courage. That courage compounds, and soon, tasks that once terrified you become part of your daily rhythm. Think about the feeling of finishing something you dreaded. The relief, the vibe, the peace of mind. That feeling is worth more than hours of distraction. That feeling is proof that you are moving forward. You do not need anyone else to clap for you. The result itself is your reward. The confidence that comes from completing hard things is unmatched. You begin to see yourself as capable of bigger challenges. You start aiming higher. That is how success grows. When you look at people who have achieved these things, one pattern always stands out. They mastered their mornings. They took on the hardest work at the start of the day. They did not wait for inspiration. They did not waste time on small details first. They gave their best energy to the bits challenge. That is why their lives look different. They stacked difficult victories, one on top of another, until their results could no longer be ignored. If you want to change your life, start tomorrow by choosing the hardest task and finishing it before anything else. Do not negotiate with yourself. Do not wait until you feel ready. Just begin. Once you start, you will notice something powerful. The task that felt overwhelming will shrink as you work on it. It will not be as impossible as you imagined. Fear grows in waiting. Confidence grows in action. You must also recognize that doing the hard thing first builds resilience. Life will test you. Obstacles will come when you least expect them. If you have trained yourself to attack difficulty head-on, you will not break easily. You will not panic. You will already have proof in your mind that you can handle pressure. That resilience will carry you through storms that crush others. Another benefit is efficiency. Hard tasks usually produce the biggest results. When you do them first, you are making the most efficient use of your time. Instead of filling your day with busy work, you are focusing on what truly matters. That is the difference between people who stay stuck and people who move forward. Stuck people waste energy avoiding the big task. Successful people spend energy conquering it. There is a deep sense of self-respect that comes from knowing you do not run from difficulty. That respect will make you proud of who you are becoming. Success is not only about money or recognition. It is about living in a way that makes you proud. Pride comes from self-respect. Self-respect comes from discipline. And discipline grows when you stop delaying and start doing. Every time you finish a hard task first, you add another layer of strength to your character. You are not the same person as yesterday. You are sharper, stronger, more reliable. That growth compounds. Before long, you look back and realize you have transformed. The those who once avoided difficulty is now someone who craves it, because you know that inside every hard task lies the reward of growth. This is how you know you will be successful. You do not run from the challenge. You do not wait for the perfect moment. You do not make excuses about time, energy, or feelings. You choose to face the hard task first. You make it your priority. You prove to yourself that you are capable. That proof stacks, and soon, your life is filled with results that others only dream about. If you want to measure your potential, look at your mornings. Look at the choices you make when the day begins. Do you waste your strongest hours, or do you invest them in the task that matters most? That single choice reveals everything. It tells you whether you are drifting or driving. It tells you whether you are serious or casual. It tells you whether success is in your future or only in your imagination. The difference is simple. People who delay the difficult stay the same. People who do the difficult first grow stronger every day. If you want to know where you will be in 5 years, look at what you are doing with the hardest task in front of you right now. Handle it today, and you will create a tomorrow worth living. That is the truth about success. It is not hidden. It isn't complicated. It is not waiting for luck. It is in your next decision. Face the hard task first. Finish it. Build on that victory tomorrow. Do it again the day after. Stack those victories until your life firps the discipline you chose. This is how you will know, without question, that you are on the path to success. Number 3, say no to comfort when your mind wants easy. Success reveals itself when you learn to say no to comfort, especially when your mind pulls you toward what is easy. Comfort is attractive. It feels safe. It tells you that you deserve a break, that you can put things off, that you can relax just a little longer. But comfort is also the biggest trap. It looks harmless in the moment, yet it steals your growth quietly. Every time you choose the easy way, you deny yourself the strength that only comes through effort. The reason comfort is so dangerous is because it disguises itself as reward. After all, who doesn't want to feel relaxed, entertained, or at peace? The problem is not comfort itself. The problem is choosing it when you know it takes you away from your goal. Sitting on the couch when you should be working on your health. Wasting time on your phone when you should be learning. Giving in to distractions when you should be building your future. That is the comfort that kills progress. When your mind wants easy, that is the exact moment when you must step in and say no. That moment of choice defines your path. If you say yes to comfort too often, your potential shrinks. If you say no to comfort and yes to growth, you rise. Every successful person has mastered this ability. They still feel the pull toward comfort, but they have trained themselves to choose the hard thing instead. That's the real secret. It's not that they never feel lazy. It's that they refuse to let laziness win. Think about the times when you have grown the most in your life. It was not when you were comfortable. It was when you challenged yourself. When you pushed past what felt easy. When you demanded more than what was convenient. Those moments changed you. They expanded your confidence, your skill, and your belief in yourself. That is why saying no to comfort is so important. It is not just about finishing tasks. It is about transforming who you are. Comfort gives temporary pleasure. Growth gives lasting pride. Comfort fades as soon as the moment passes. Growth stays with you forever. A workout might feel hard now, but the health you build lasts for years. Studying might feel tiring, but the knowledge you gain changes your opportunities. Saving money instead of spending it might feel restrictive, but the freedom you create in the future is priceless. These are the rewards of saying no to comfort when your mind begs for easy. The mind loves shortcuts. It loves the path of least resistance. That is part of human nature. But if you give in to that nature without discipline, you will never reach what you're capable of. Success belongs to those who build a second nature. A nature of discipline, a nature of persistence, a nature of rejecting easy when easy does not serve the future. The first time you say no to comfort, it feels painful. The 10th time, it feels empowering. The 100th time, it feels natural. There is a powerful shift that happens when you deny comfort for something greater. You stop being controlled by moods. You stop being a prisoner to urges. You start becoming the kind of person who acts on principles instead of feelings. And that shift is the real sign of maturity. It is proof that you can govern yourself. It is proof that you are not driven by impulses, but by vision. That is the difference between drifting and directing your life. Comfort is everywhere. It comes in the form of endless entertainment, unhealthy food, wasted hours, and meaningless distractions. These are designed to pull you in, to keep you from doing the work that matters. If you are not careful, you can lose years to them. Many people wake up too late. They realize they spent the best years of their life chasing what was easy, instead of building what was meaningful. You do not want that to be your story. You want to be the person who takes control early, who decides that your life will not be dictated by comfort. When you start to say no to comfort, your confidence grows. You realize that you are in control. Each time you reject what is easy, you gain self-respect. You begin to trust yourself. That trust is more powerful than any applause you could get from others. Because the truth is, nobody else will know how many times you chose growth over ease, but you will know. And knowing you are strong enough to deny comfort builds a foundation that no one can take away. Comfort also teaches weakness. The more you give in to it, the weaker your discipline becomes. You become fragile. You become intent on feeling good before you act. That is why so many people stay stuck. They are waiting to feel ready, waiting to feel motivated, waiting to feel comfortable before they move. But the reality is, growth never feels comfortable. It demands sacrifice. It demands effort. It demands that you push when you would rather stop. Those who understand this truth break free from the crowd. One of the greatest feelings you will ever experience is finishing something hard while comfort was calling your name. That victory proves that you are not like the average person. It proves that you can demand more from yourself. It proves that your goals matter more to you than momentary pleasure. That is how you know you are walking the path of success. Saying no to comfort is also about valuing time. Every hour you spend chasing comfort is an hour lost forever. Once it is gone, you cannot get it back. But every hour you spend on growth compounds. The skills you build, the health you protect, the discipline you develop. These pay you back every day for the rest of your life. Time will pass either way. The question is whether you will spend it building or wasting. Think about a typical day. There will always be moments where you are tempted to choose easy. Those moments are the true battleground. If you can win them, you can win the day. If you lose them, the day begins to slip away. You may still be busy, but you won't be productive. You may still be active, but you won't be moving forward. The choice comes down to this. Do you give in to comfort, or do you take command of your life? Start small. You do not need to deny every comfort all at once. Begin by choosing one moment each day where you say no to the easy path. Maybe it is finishing the workout instead of quitting halfway. Maybe it is studying 30 minutes instead of watching television. Maybe it is preparing a meal instead of ordering junk food. These small refusals build strength. Over time, they transform into habits, and habits shape your future. The beautiful part of this process is that the more you say no to comfort, the stronger you feel. The harder choice becomes the normal choice. You stop dreading effort and start respecting it. You stop avoiding struggle and start seeking it. This shift is the essence of growth. The very thing you once resisted becomes the thing that defines you. That is how transformation works. There is another benefit too. When you learn to resist comfort, you also learn to enjoy it in the right measure. Comfort then becomes a true reward, not a constant escape. Rest feels sweeter when it is earned. Leisure feels more satisfying when it follows work. Food tastes better when it follows discipline. By denying comfort, when it distracts you, you make comfort meaningful again. You cannot build a strong body by staying comfortable. You cannot build wealth by choosing ease. You cannot build deep skills by avoiding difficulty. Every area of life follows the same rule. Comfort today can cost you tomorrow. Success tomorrow is built by sacrifice today. That is the trade-off you must accept. Those who are willing to pay it live a life of strength. Those who refuse to pay it settle for less. So here is the truth. If you want to know whether you are on the road to success, ask yourself this. When your mind begs for comfort, do you say no? Do you rise when you want to stay down? Do you work when you want to rest? Do you push when you want to stop? Those answers reveal your future more than any dream or plan. Saying no to comfort is not a single decision. It is a lifestyle. It is a choice you make every day. It is a pattern of discipline that builds over time. Each decision may feel small, but together they shape your destiny. Years from now, your life will be the sum of how often you resisted comfort and how often you surrendered to it. That is the reality. That is psychology. That is how success works. You will always feel the pull of easy. That will never go away. But each time you resist it, you grow stronger than the pull. You stop being controlled by impulses and start controlling them. That is when you know you are on the right path. That is when you know success is no longer just possible. It is inevitable. Remember this truth. Comfort is temporary, but discipline is permanent. Comfort fades quickly, but growth lasts forever. Every time you say no to comfort, when your mind wants easy, you are casting a vote for the person you want to become. Enough of those votes, and you will not have to wonder about success. You will see it, you will feel it, and you will live it.
Number 4. Keep promises to yourself even when nobody cares. The surest sign that you are on the road to success is your ability to keep promises to yourself even when nobody else cares. It is easy to make commitments when others are watching, when applause or validation is expected, when someone is holding you accountable. But real discipline begins when there is no audience, no reward, no recognition. Success requires that you honor your word to yourself. Because if you cannot trust yourself, you cannot expect the world to trust you either. Most people break their promises to themselves without hesitation. They promise they will wake up earlier than they sleep in. They promise they will eat better than they give in to cravings. They promise they will save money than they spend on impulse. In the moment, It feels small. They think it doesn't matter because nobody saw it. But each broken promise chips away at their self-respect. Slowly, they stop believing in their own words. They stop trusting their own plans. They start to live in doubt. And doubt kills ambition. Keeping promises to yourself is not about perfection. It is about integrity. Integrity is the foundation of success. When you keep your word to yourself, you strengthen your inner character. You show yourself that you are reliable, that you can be trusted, that your word has weight. And once you believe in your own reliability, confidence follows. Confidence is not built by telling yourself positive words. Confidence is built by keeping promises and collecting proof that you can be counted on. Think of how powerful it feels when you do something you said you would do, even if nobody else knows about it. That private victory stays with you. You may not post it online. Nobody may clap for you. But the feeling of pride is unmatched. You look in the mirror differently. You carry yourself with more strength. That is the reward of self-respect. And it only comes when you keep promises to yourself. There's also a practical reason this matters. Life will often leave you without external support. There will be seasons when nobody is cheering, nobody is encouraging, nobody is paying attention. If your discipline depends on recognition, you will collapse in those seasons. The only way to survive and grow is to rely on internal accountability. That means you keep going, even when nobody notices. You keep building even when nobody cares. Because at the end of the day, it is not their approval that builds your future. It is your action. A person who can keep promises to themselves is unstoppable. They do not need constant reminders. They do not need applause to act. They do not fall apart when the world is silent. They live by standards, not by moods. Standards are what separate the successful from the average. An average person will do what is required when others expect it. A successful person will do what is required because they promised themselves they would, and that is enough. Every broken promise weakens discipline. Every kept promise strengthens it. If you make a edict of ignoring your own word, you will create a cycle of failure. You will stop trying because deep down, you will no longer believe you can follow through. On the other hand, if you make a habit of keeping even the smallest promises, you build a cycle of success. You prove to yourself over and over that you can be trusted. That proof becomes fuel. That fuel carries you through larger and larger commitments. It begins with small things. If you say you will wake up at 6, wake up at 6. If you say you will read for 20 minutes, read for 20 minutes. If you say you will exercise today, then exercise today. These may not seem life-changing in isolation, but each one is a vote for the person you want to become. Each one shapes your identity. An identity is powerful because you always act in line with who you believe you are. If you believe you are reliable, you will act reliably. If you believe you are inconsistent, you will act inconsistently. Keeping promises builds the identity of reliability. The truth is, success is rarely built in public. Most of the time, it is built in the unseen hours. In the late nights, the early mornings, the quiet rooms where nobody is watching. That is why keeping promises to yourself is the mark of future success. It proves that you have the discipline to work in silence, to build without recognition, to pursue your goals because they matter to you, not because you need others to notice. When you stop breaking promises yourself, you stop living in regret. Regret is heavy. It comes from knowing you could have done more but chose not to. It comes from realizing that your words meant nothing because you refused to honor them. Regret is avoided not by luck, but by discipline. Every time you follow through, you avoid regret and replace it with pride. You may wonder why so few people reach their true potential. It is not because they lacked opportunity. It is not because they lacked talent. It is because they could not trust themselves to stay committed. When the applause stopped, they gave up their goals in the silence. They traded discipline for excuses. They allowed comfort to override commitment. That is why they stayed average. Success is built by those who choose to keep going when nobody else is watching, when nobody else is clapping, when nobody else cares. Keeping promises to yourself also builds resilience. Life will test you with setbacks, disappointments,
and failures. If you are the type of person who keeps your word to yourself, you will not collapse in those moments. You will keep moving forward because you know your actions are not controlled by circumstances. They are controlled by commitment. That kind of resilience is rare, and it is the reason why some people rise no matter what life throws at them. Another reason this principle is powerful is because it teaches you ownership. When you live by your own promises, you stop blaming others. You stop waiting for help. You stop depending on approval. You take full responsibility. Responsibility is the foundation of freedom. If you do not take responsibility, you are at the mercy of the world. If you do take responsibility, you take control of your destiny. There will always be temptations to break your promises. Your mind will whisper that it doesn't matter, that you can start tomorrow, that nobody will know. But you will know, and if you make a habit of listening to that voice, you will weaken your own willpower. Instead, train yourself to listen to the other voice, the one that says you must follow through because your future depends on it. That voice will never mislead you. If you want to know whether you are on track for success, look at your relationship with your own promises. Do you keep them or do you break them? That will tell you more about your future than any dream board or goal list, because goals mean nothing if you don't honor the small steps required to reach them. Promises to yourself are the bridge between intention and reality. If you cross that bridge every day, success will be the natural result. Keeping promises to yourself may not always bring applause, but it will bring something better: self-respect. Self-respect is worth more than recognition. When you respect yourself, you no longer crave constant validation. You walk with quiet confidence. You move with certainty. You know that you can depend on yourself. That knowledge will give you peace in hard times, strength in challenges, and direction when others feel lost. This is the truth. Success does not begin with public victories. It begins with private ones. It begins with waking up when you said you would. It begins with finishing the work you promised to complete. It begins with honoring your word to yourself, even when nobody else cares. When you build that kind of discipline, you no longer wonder if success will come. You know it will. Keeping promises to yourself is not about perfection, but it is about commitment. If you miss a step, get back up quickly. Do not let failure turn into a pattern. Correct yourself immediately. Show yourself that your word still matters. Each time you recover, you grow stronger. Each time you follow through, you reinforce your foundation. Over time, that foundation becomes unshakable. So remember this: the world does not need to see your every effort. You do not need validation for every action. What matters most is that you see it, you feel it, and you know it. Keep promises to yourself, and you will become a person disciplined, integrity, and strength. That is how you know you are destined for success.
Number 5, show up on bad days and still do work. The real proof of success is not found in the days when you feel motivated, inspired, and full of energy. The true test is what you do on the bad days, when you feel tired, discouraged, overwhelmed, or even defeated. Anybody can show up when the sun is shining and everything feels right. But the people who build extraordinary lives are the ones who show up when nothing feels easy. Success is built on consistency, not mood. And if you can keep moving forward on your hardest days, you separate yourself from nearly everyone else. Bad days will always come. They come in the form of personal struggles, setbacks at work, failed attempts, health issues, financial problems, disappointments, and unexpected obstacles. Life does not ask your permission before it brings them. You do not get to choose the timing, but you do get to choose your response. This is where winners and quitters go in opposite directions. The quitter says, "I'll wait until I feel better." The winner says, "I'll work through this anyway." The difference may look small in the moment, but over the years, it makes all the difference in the world. Every time you show up on a bad day, you prove that your goals matter more than your emotions. You prove that your commitment is stronger than your circumstances. You prove that your vision of the future is greater than the temporary pain of the present. That kind of resilience is rare, and it is exactly why it leads to success. While most people stop when they feel low, a rare few keep going. And because of that, they get the rewards most people will never taste. There is something powerful that happens when you refuse to let a bad day control you. You send a message to your own mind that you are in charge. You remind yourself that you are not a prisoner of feelings. You demonstrate that discipline matters more than mood. Each time you do that, your inner strength grows. That strength compounds over time until people look at you and wonder how you keep pushing forward no matter what happens. The answer is simple. You trained yourself to show up even when it hurt. Think about the nature of progress. Progress does not come in one big leap. It comes from the accumulation of small, daily efforts. If you skip every time life gets heavy, your progress will constantly reset. But if you keep working even through the storm, the accumulation continues. That is why showing up on bad days is so important. Those days may not feel productive, but they are the glue that holds consistency together. Without them, the structure collapses. With them, the structure becomes unbreakable. Many people wait for perfect conditions before they act. They say they will work when they feel better, when they have more energy, when the timing is right. But perfect conditions rarely arrive. And while they wait, the years pass. Successful people know that waiting is a trap. They choose to act under imperfect conditions. They choose to move forward even with low energy, even with doubt in their mind, even with pain in their heart. They understand that doing something is always better than doing nothing. That mindset alone changes the entire trajectory of a life. Showing up on bad days also sharpens resilience. When you push through difficulty, you learn to adapt. You learn to focus chaos. You learn to keep going under pressure. These are skills you cannot learn on the easy days. They are only built in the storms, and the more you practice them, the stronger you become. Eventually, challenges that once would have broken you become nothing more than small hurdles. That is how you rise above average, by growing strong enough to face what once seemed impossible. There is also a hidden gift inside showing up on bad days. Those days give you perspective. They remind you why commitment matters. They strip away illusions and reveal whether your goals are truly important to you. Because if your goals only matter when life is smooth, then they were never really goals. They were just wishes. A true goal is one that you are willing to work on, even in exhaustion, even when nobody is clapping. That is the kind of goal that shapes your destiny. Imagine two people chasing the same dream. Both of them are motivated on good days. Both of them are productive when conditions are right. But one of them skips every time they feel down, while the other pushes forward no matter what. Fast forward 5 years. One has quit and wonders why life feels stuck. The other has built something remarkable and earned opportunities most people only dream of. The difference is not talent or luck. It is the willingness to show up on the days that felt unbearable. You also need to understand that bad days are not wasted. If you still show up, even if your output is lower, even if your energy is weak, you are still moving forward. 1 hour of effort on a hard day is worth more than 10 hours on an easy day. Because it proves your resilience, shows that you are serious. It strengthens your discipline. Those are invisible rewards that build into visible success later. When you show up on bad days, you are also preparing for the future. Life will not always give you smooth conditions. If you can only act when everything is right, you will never build anything lasting. But if you can act under pressure, you will be ready for the opportunities that come your way. Opportunity rarely waits for you to feel perfect. It shows up unexpected. If you have built the habit of working through difficulty, you will be ready to seize it. If not, you will miss it. There is another truth here. The people who depend on feelings never finish anything. Feelings change daily. Motivation comes and goes. But people who build the habit of showing up, despite feelings, finish what they start. They finish projects. They finish goals. They finish dreams. Finishing is rare in this world. That is why finishers are successful. They do not wait for good days. They create results on every day. Think about how much respect you gain for yourself when you work on the days you least want to. Those are the days that shape your identity. They are the days you will remember with pride. Not because they were enjoyable, but because you proved to yourself that nothing could stop you. That kind of memory builds deep confidence. It becomes part of who you are. And once you see yourself as someone who never quits, you will never settle for less again. Bad days also test your patience. They remind you that success is not about quick reward. It is about staying in the game long enough to win. Most people quit too soon because they mistake a bad day for a bad life. They assume one setback defines their future. But those who understand success know better. They know that a bad day is just part of the process. They keep going because they see beyond the moment. They see the bigger picture. The truth is, your ability to keep going on bad days is one of the clearest signs of future success. Because bad days are guaranteed. Nobody escapes them. If you can master them, you will rise above those who are controlled by them. You will become someone who cannot be stopped. Because you are not driven by how you feel. You are driven by what you have committed to do. So if you want to know whether you will be successful, ask yourself, do you still show up on the days you feel like quitting? Do you still put in the work when your mind screams for rest? Do you still move forward when motivation is nowhere to be found? If the answer is yes, then success is only a matter of time. Because the person who keeps showing up cannot lose forever. Eventually, effort compounds, results arrive, and life changes. This is how you know you will be successful. Not because you had more talent, not because you had more luck, not because you had more resources, but because you had the discipline to keep working when it was hardest to work. That decision builds the strength, the resilience, and the results that define a successful life.
Number 6, choose growth over approval. When people doubt your path, one of the hardest tests in life comes when you must choose between your own growth and the approval of others. Approval feels good. Everyone wants to be accepted, liked, and validated. From an early age, people are trained to fit in, to be praised, to be recognized. But growth is rarely approved of in the beginning. Growth threatens the comfort of others. Growth demands that you take paths people don't understand. And growth often brings criticism, doubt, and even resistance from those closest to you. If you want to know you are on the road to success, you must be willing to choose growth, even when it costs you approval. When you chase approval, your life becomes dependent on the opinions of others. You start shaping your actions to avoid criticism. You say yes when you want to say no. You hide your real goals so you don't make others uncomfortable. You hold back from opportunities because you're worried about what people will say. That is a prison disguised as belonging. You may gain temporary peace, but you sacrifice your potential. And nothing is more painful than looking back on your life and realizing you traded growth for acceptance. Growth, on the other hand, requires courage. It asks you to step outside what is familiar. It asks you to risk being misunderstood. It asks you to walk alone when others don't believe in you. Growth is uncomfortable, but it is also the only path that leads to success. The people who accomplish great things are never the ones who spent their lives chasing approval. They are the ones who are willing to stand apart, to be doubted, to be questioned, yet still move forward. When people doubt your path, it does not mean your path is wrong. Often, it means you are moving in a direction they could not imagine for themselves. People project their own limitations onto you. If they don't believe they could do it, they will tell you that you can't either. But their belief is not your reality. If you let their doubts stop you, you will live their life, not yours. Choosing growth means choosing believe in your vision more than their fears. There will be moments when the weight of disapproval feels heavy. Friends may question your choices. Family may pressure you to play it safe. Colleagues may laugh at your ambition. Strangers may criticize your efforts. In those moments, you must decide which matters more: fitting into their expectations or building the life you truly want. If you keep bending for approval, you will break your own dream. But if you choose growth, you will eventually reach a place where the results speak louder than the doubts ever did. Choosing growth also sharpens your inner strength. It teaches you to rely on your own judgment. It forces you to build conviction. It develops resilience. Because every time you move forward without applause, you grow stronger in silence. Those silent victories shape your character more than public praise ever could. They prepare you for the bigger battles ahead. They create an unshakable foundation that no opinion can destroy. Think about it. The people who once doubted you will not be the ones living with the consequences of your choices. You will. They won't feel the regret if you give up on your dream. You will. They won't suffer the frustration of staying stuck. You will. That's why you cannot make approval your compass. Approval fades, but growth lasts. Approval satisfies in the moment, but growth transforms for a lifetime. Growth means making decisions that serve your future self, not just your present comfort. Sometimes those decisions will make you unpopular. Sometimes they will make people distance themselves. But you must remind yourself that the cost of approval is far greater than the cost of growth. Approval may keep relationships easy, but it keeps your life small. Growth may create tension, but it creates a life worth living. Choosing growth over approval does not mean ignoring everyone. It means being wise about which voices matter. You can listen to advice from those who have walked the path you are on. You can learn from mentors who have achieved what you want. But you must also filter out voices that are rooted in fear, jealousy, or lack of vision. Not every opinion deserves space in your mind. Choose carefully whose words you allow to guide you. One of the most freeing moments in life is when you realize you don't need everyone to agree with you. You don't need universal applause. You don't need constant validation. What you need is to stay true to your own vision. That freedom unlocks creativity. It unlocks persistence. It allows you to pursue views with intensity, because you are no longer weighed down by the need to please everyone. There will be times when the doubt of others hurts. It may feel personal. It may make you question yourself. That is natural. But in those moments, remember why you started. Remember the vision that sparked your ambition. Remember the future you are building. Let that vision be louder than their doubts. Let your commitment speak louder than their criticism. The truth is, many of the people who doubt you now will one day admire you. The same voices that told you it couldn't be done will be the ones asking how you did it. But that transformation only happens if you choose growth when it is hardest. When nobody believes in you, when nobody is cheering, when the approval is absent. Success is not built in applause. It is built in persistence despite the noise. Choosing growth over approval is also about integrity. It means living according to your own standards, not bending to fit someone else's. It means having the courage to say, "This is my path, and I will walk it regardless of who agrees." That kind of integrity attracts respect in the long run, even from those who doubted you. People may not like your choices, but they will respect your conviction, and respect built on authenticity is worth more than shallow approval. Ask yourself, are you living your life or someone else's? Are your choices guided by your vision or their opinion? Every time you choose approval over growth, you hand your life to others. Every time you choose growth over approval, you take your life back. That will define your future. If you want to measure your chances for success, don't count your likes, your followers, or your praise. Count the number of times you moved forward despite disapproval. Count the moments you chose the hard path over the popular one. Count the times you valued growth more than being liked. That is the real scoreboard of success. In the end, the people whose approval you sacrificed will not matter as much as the person you became. You will not look back and wish you had fit in more. You will not wish you had lowered your vision to be accepted. You will be grateful that you had the courage to choose growth. You will respect yourself for being brave enough to follow your path, and that self-respect will mean more than any applause you could have collected along the way. So remember this: people will doubt you, question you, and sometimes even laugh at you. But if you choose growth over their approval, you will keep moving forward. You will keep building. You will keep improving. And one day, the life you've created will be undeniable proof that you made the right choice. Success does not come from pleasing others. It comes from choosing growth again and again, no matter who doubts you. Number 7, act with discipline when motivation completely disappears from you. There will come days when motivation completely disappears from you. Days when you don't feel like working, when your energy is low, when your mind says, "Not today." Those days are the defining ones, because success does not belong to the person who acts only when they feel inspired. Success belongs to the person who can act with discipline even when motivation is gone. Discipline is what carries you through the emptiness.
through the fatigue, through the lack of excitement. Motivation is temporary. Discipline is permanent. And the ability to move without waiting for feelings is what separates winners from dreamers. Motivation is like a guest. It shows up sometimes, it leaves other times, and you never know exactly when it will return. If your life is built on waiting for it, you will live inconsistently. You will start and stop, push forward and then stall, make progress and then fall back. That cycle will exhaust you. You'll wonder why your goals never materialize, why your habits don't stick, why your dreams feel out of reach. The answer is simple. You trusted motivation instead of building discipline. Discipline is a different force. It doesn't care how you feel. It doesn't wait for permission from your emotions. It is a choice, a standard, a commitment that you follow no matter what the day looks like. Discipline says, I will do it because I said I would, not because I feel like it. That mindset changes everything. It removes the dependence on external triggers and places responsibility where it belongs, on you. Think about how often feelings shift. You can wake up motivated and by the afternoon feel drained. You can be excited today and uninterested tomorrow. Your progress depends on that unstable wave. Your results will be unstable too. But if you train yourself to act, regardless of how you feel, you create stability. You become the kind of person who delivers every day, not just on the good day. That kind of consistency compounds into results so strong that no lack of motivation can stop you. The people who succeed long-term are not the ones who had the most passion at the beginning. They are the ones who kept showing up when passion ran dry. They worked when they didn't feel like it. They pushed through boredom. They finished tasks they didn't enjoy. They treated discipline as non-negotiable. And because of that, their results grew year after year, while others faded away. When motivation disappears, most people look for a way to reignite it. They search for inspiration. They consume content. They wait for the spark to return. But the truth is, you don't need to reignite motivation to keep moving. You need to rely on discipline. Discipline is not a spark. It is a steady flame that doesn't flicker with the wind. And once you build it, you never have to wonder whether you'll take action. You simply do. Because action is part of who you are. This is why discipline is one of the purest forms of self-respect. Every time you act without motivation, you prove to yourself that your word means something. You don't rely on moods. You don't depend on excitement. You depend on your own commitment. That proof builds trust, and Nance in yourself is priceless. If you can trust yourself to follow through in the worst moments, you'll never doubt your ability to succeed in the long run. It's important to understand that discipline does not mean you never feel resistance. You will feel it. You will wake up some mornings and want to quit. You will sit down to work and feel the urge to walk away. Discipline doesn't erase those feelings. It overrides them. It says, I feel this way, but I will still act. And every time you act despite resistance, the grip of laziness loosens. Over time, you begin to separate action from feeling. And that separation is the true mark of maturity. Look at athletes, entrepreneurs, creators, or anyone who has built something lasting. None of them relied on motivation alone. They trained, worked, studied, and built on days when motivation was nowhere to be found. They were tired, bored, frustrated, but they kept going. They didn't wait for energy. They created results through discipline. That is why they stand out. That is why their names are remembered. Not because they always felt like working, but because they worked even when they didn't feel like it. When motivation disappears, your mind will offer excuses. It will say you need rest, or you'll do it tomorrow, or it doesn't matter if you skip just once. Those excuses sound reasonable, but if you accept them often, you create a habit of quitting. The dangerous part is that quitting feels easier every time you do it. That is why discipline must be built as a habit too. When you make discipline automatic, you no longer negotiate with excuses. You act, not because it feels good, but because it is who you are. Discipline also teaches patience. Results never show up overnight. There will be long seasons where you work without visible reward. Motivation won't survive those seasons. It will vanish quickly when progress feels slow. But discipline thrives in those seasons. It says, keep going. The results are being built even if you can't see them yet. That kind of patience is rare, and it is disciplined people eventually reach heights that motivated people never touch. There's another important point. Discipline is transferable. If you build it in one area of your life, it strengthens every other area. If you can force yourself to exercise without motivation, you will find it easier to study without motivation. If you can discipline yourself to manage money consistently, you will find it easier to build consistency in your work. Discipline builds identity, and identity shapes every choice you make. That is why a single act of discipline can ripple across your entire life. Motivation disappears from everyone, even the strongest people you admire. But discipline is the equalizer. You may not always feel excited, but you can always act. You may not always feel driven, but you can always take a step. Discipline shrinks the gap between how you feel and what you do. That gap is where most people lose the battle. If you can close it, you win. Think about the times you pushed through without motivation. Maybe you finished a workout when you were exhausted. Maybe you studied when you wanted to relax. Maybe you worked late when you wanted to quit. Remember the feeling you had afterward. It wasn't regret. It wasn't disappointment. It was pride. It was the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you controlled yourself. That feeling lasts far longer than the temporary comfort of skipping. That feeling is the real reward of discipline. So when motivation disappears, remind yourself that discipline is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. Remind yourself that feelings are temporary, but results are permanent. Remind yourself that every act of discipline is a deposit into your future. These reminders will not always feel exciting, but they will always be true. And truth is stronger than motivation. If you want to measure your chance of success, don't measure how motivated you feel today. That doesn't matter. Measure how disciplined you are when motivation is gone. If you can act in those moments, you will reach your goals. If you can't, then success will always slip away. The real test is not when you are excited. It is when you are empty, yet still moving forward. This is how you know you will be successful. You act with discipline when motivation completely disappears. You keep going when there is no spark. You finish the work even when your mind begs you to stop. And in doing so, you create a strength so unshakable that nothing, not fatigue, not doubt, not boredom, can take you off your path. That is the discipline that builds greatness. That is the discipline that guarantees.
Number 8, keep improving one skill until you master it fully. Success is rarely about doing everything at once. It is about choosing one skill, focusing on it, and refusing to stop until you master it fully. Most people scatter their energy. They try a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and they quit before reaching depth. They become average at many things, but excellent at none. Excellence is not built through variety. It is built through concentration. If you want to know that you will be successful, look at how you approach mastery. If you can stay committed to improving one skill day after day until it becomes second nature, then success will inevitably follow. Improvement is often boring. It is repetitive. It requires practicing the same motions, studying the same principles, and refining the same mistakes. That is why most people avoid it. They want excitement. They want novelty. They want instant results. But mastery doesn't come from novelty. It comes from discipline. Every expert you admire built their reputation, not by skipping around, but by going deeper than everyone else. They kept improving one skill while others gave up too soon. The danger of never committing to mastery is that you remain in the shallow end of life. Shallow effort produces shallow results. You can dabble in many things, but without mastery, you never gain the leverage to stand out. The world does not reward average. It rewards those who are exceptional, those who can do something so well that others cannot ignore it. That level of ability only comes from relentless improvement in one direction. It is important to remember that mastery does not mean perfection. Perfection is unrealistic. But mastery means reaching a level of command where your skill creates results consistent. It means you are no longer guessing. It means you have built enough knowledge, practice, and refinement that your ability stands strong under pressure. This is not achieved by dabbling. It is achieved by staying with one thing long enough for it to transform you. When you keep improving one skill, something else happens. You grow in patience. You stop looking for shortcuts. You learn to value process over instant gratification. That patience carries into other areas of your life. You stop expecting quick fixes. You stop being frustrated by slow progress. You start trusting the compound effect of daily practice. This mindset itself is a sign of success because it prepares you for the long journey ahead. Many people quit just before mastery begins to show. They get frustrated with the plateau. They expect progress to be linear, but improvement often comes in jumps after long periods of grinding. Those who keep practicing through the plateaus are the ones who break through. This is why commitment matters so much. If you only work when improvement feels obvious, you'll never last long enough to reach the real rewards. The world is full of distractions that try to pull you away from mastery. New opportunities, new hobbies, new tools, new interests. They all look tempting. But if you keep jumping, you never stay long enough to master anything. Success comes from resisting that pull and doubling down on what matters most. You cannot master everything, but you can master something. And one skill mastered can open doors to opportunities that many skills half learned never will. Think about the respect you feel when you encounter someone who has mastered their craft. Whether it is a teacher, a musician, a speaker, or a builder, their work carries weight. It carries authority. That respect is not accidental. It is the result of thousands of hours spent improving one little until it became undeniable. That same respect will come to you if you commit to mastery. There is also power in narrowing your focus because it forces you to simplify. You stop spreading yourself thin. You stop wasting energy chasing everything. You start directing your best energy to one pursuit. And that intensity multiplies your results. What feels slow in the beginning becomes unstoppable over time. Success does not come from doing more. It comes from doing one thing with depth and excellence. You must also understand that mastery builds confidence. Every time you improve, even slightly, you gain proof that your effort is working. Over time, those small improvements stack until your confidence is unshakable. You no longer wonder if you are capable. You know you are. That certainty influences how you walk, how you speak, and how you approach new challenges. Confidence built on mastery is deeper than confidence built on motivation, because it is rooted in evidence. Mastery also creates freedom. When you are skilled at a high level, you gain control over opportunities. You are no longer begging for chances. You are sought after. People come to you because you can deliver something rare. That freedom comes only from discipline, from the willingness to stay committed when others wander. Freedom without mastery is an illusion. True freedom comes when your ability is so strong that it creates options for you. To stay committed to one skill, you must learn to love the process more than the outcome. If you only focus on the result, you'll become impatient. But if you can fall in love with practice itself, the daily repetition, the challenge of small improvements, the satisfaction of refining your ability, then you will never run out of fuel. The process will carry you, and the results will follow naturally. Every skill worth mastering will test your patience. It will challenge your consistency. It will make you doubt yourself. But those tests are part of the design. They filter out the half-hearted. They leave behind only those who are serious. If you can pass those tests, you prove to yourself and the world that you are ready for success. It is also worth noting that mastery builds identity. When you dedicate yourself to one skill long enough, it becomes part of who you are. You no longer see yourself as someone trying. You see yourself as someone who is. That identity creates momentum. It makes it harder to quit, because quitting would mean betraying who you've become. That is the power of staying with one skill long enough for it to define you. Look at your own life right now. Ask yourself, what is the one skill that, if mastered, would transform everything for you? Focus there. Resist the urge to scatter. Resist the temptation to chase everything new. Keep improving that one skill until people can't ignore it, until opportunities find you because of it, until it opens doors that nothing else could. That is how you build a future of success. This is how you know you will be successful. You don't quit after the first struggle. You don't scatter your energy in every direction. You don't give up when progress feels slow. You choose one skill. You improve it day after day, and you refuse to stop until you master it fully. That commitment alone sets you apart from most people, and it guarantees that your effort will not be wasted. Success is not about doing everything. It is about doing something so well that it changes your life. Number 9. Push through boredom without quitting or losing your focus. One of the strongest signs that you are on the path to success is your ability to push through boredom without quitting or losing your focus. People often imagine success as an exciting journey filled with constant passion and daily motivation. The truth is far different. Most of the journey is repetition. Most of the progress comes from doing the same routines, the same practices, the same small actions over and over again. And in that process, boredom will inevitably show up. The majority of people quit, not because they are incapable, but because they cannot handle the monotony. They mistake boredom for failure and assume that if it doesn't feel exciting, it must not be working. But success is built by those who keep moving forward even when the process feels repetitive. Boredom is not your enemy. It is part of the process. It shows up when the novelty has worn off, when the initial spark is gone, and when results are not yet obvious. It is the stage that filters those who are serious from those who are casual. Casual people chase excitement. Serious people chase progress. If you want to know you'll be successful, look at what you do when boredom hits. If you can stay consistent in those moments, your chances of success are certain. The reason boredom is such a challenge is because the human mind craves variety. It wants something new, something different, something entertaining. But mastery and growth come from depth, not variety. Reading one book 100 times will give you more insight than reading 100 books one time each. Practicing one skill daily will make you far more effective than trying a dozen new hobbies each month. Depth requires patience, and patience requires you to face boredom without letting it control you. Most people quit right before the breakthrough. They put in effort for weeks or months, and then when the repetition begins to feel dull, they walk away. What they don't realize is that boredom often comes right before growth shows itself. The mind grows restless when it's about to strengthen. The body resists when it's about to adapt. If you stop at boredom, you rob yourself of the reward that was just ahead. Those who keep going discover that on the other side of boredom is mastery. Boredom also teaches resilience. If you can stay disciplined in monotony, you can stay disciplined anywhere. Life is not always exciting. Most of it is ordinary. Waking up, going to work, training your body, saving your money, practicing your craft. If you can find strength in those ordinary routines, you can handle the extraordinary challenges when they appear. But if you quit in the ordinary, you'll never reach the extraordinary. One of the best ways to handle boredom is to remind yourself why you started. Purpose gives meaning to repetition. If you know the reason behind your actions, even the dullest task becomes important. Writing pages may feel boring, but if you remind yourself that this book will shape your future, the pages matter. Practicing scales may feel dull, but if you remember it makes you a great musician, the practice matters. Boredom loses its grip when you reconnect with purpose. Another key is to shift your perspective. Instead of seeing repetition as dull, see it as sharpening. Every time you repeat, you are refining your skill. You are building endurance. You are laying bricks for the future. A wall is not built by one exciting stone. It is built by thousands of ordinary ones. Each brick matters. Each repetition matters. If you learn to value the process, boredom transforms into quiet progress. The discipline to push through boredom also protects you from distraction. When people get bored, they often look for new entertainment, new opportunities, new escapes. They convince themselves that changing direction is the solution. But in reality, distraction is just disguised quitting. By staying the course, you train yourself to ignore the temptation of distraction. You learn to focus on what matters long enough to see results. That is why so few people succeed. Because so few people can ignore distraction long enough to finish what they started. If you want to understand how powerful persistence through boredom is, think about compound growth. Compound interest in finance works consistently, adding over time, even when the changes are invisible at first. The same is true in life. Each boring repetition compounds. Each day you show up builds on the previous day. Over time, the compounding effect becomes visible and unstoppable. Quitting at boredom resets that compounding. Persistence allows it to explode. When you stay focused during boredom, you also build mental toughness. You teach yourself that you don't need constant excitement to act. You train your brain to push through resistance. That toughness becomes an advantage in every area of life, whether it's work, health, relationships, or personal goals. The person who can keep going without entertainment always outlasts the one who depends on excitement. Toughness is rare. That is why it is valuable. The truth is, boredom is not a sign that something is wrong. It is a sign that you are in the middle of the process. You've moved past the excitement of beginning, but haven't yet reached the excitement of results. You are in the valley between the two. That valley is where most people quit. But if you keep walking, the results eventually appear, and they are far fairer than the temporary thrill you gave up. There's also pride in finishing what you started. If you walk away at boredom, you teach yourself that your word is weak. You become the type of person who only acts when it's fun. But when you finish, even through boredom, you gain self-respect. You prove that you can be trusted with your own commitments. That pride strengthens your confidence. It makes you believe that you can take on bigger challenges. And that belief keeps opening new doors for your life. Look at anyone who has achieved excellence. Athletes repeat drills thousands of times. Writers rewrite drafts again and again. Musicians practice scales endlessly. None of that looks glamorous, but it produces greatness. They did not stop when it was dull. They embraced the dull work because they knew that is where growth hides. If you want excellence, you must do the same. The question is not whether boredom will come. It will. The question is whether you will keep going when it arrives. If you can endure it, you will succeed. If you can't, you will join the majority who started but never finished. That single choice, persisting through boredom, decides your future. So when boredom shows up, do not panic. Do not assume the process is broken. Do not look for an escape. Instead, see it as a test of your commitment, a test of your patience, a test of your discipline. If you pass the test, success is waiting. If you fail it, you will be starting over again and again. This is how you know you'll be successful. You don't stop at boredom. You don't lose focus when the work feels repetitive. You keep showing up. You keep refining. You keep pushing, even when it isn't exciting. That is the kind of persistence that is mastery. That is the kind of focus that creates results others can't match. And that is the reason you will eventually stand where most people never will. Because you didn't quit in the middle. You pushed through until the end. Number 10. Stay patient with results while staying brutal with effort. One of the clearest signs that you are on the right path is when you learn to stay patient with results while staying brutal with your effort. Most people get this balance wrong. They are either patient with their effort and brutal with their expectations, or they demand quick results without putting in the work. Success does not bend to impatience. It arrives for the person who keeps giving everything they have, day after day, while refusing to complain about how long it takes. The moment you separate effort from instant reward, you begin to operate like the people who actually win. Effort is something you control completely. You can decide how much energy you put into today. You can decide to show up, to push harder, to refine your skills, to execute your plan. That choice is yours. But results are not always under your control. They arrive on their own timeline. Sometimes the progress is visible quickly, and other times it feels like nothing is moving at all. If you get impatient with results, you start to question your effort. You pull back, you hesitate, you stop giving your best. And that hesitation is what kills momentum. But if you keep your effort high, regardless of what you see, eventually the results catch up. Think about planting seeds. You can water, you can nurture, you can do everything right. But the seed still takes time to grow. If you get impatient and dig it up to check on it every day, you ruin the process. Effort is the watering. Patience is the waiting. You need both. Without effort, nothing grows. Without patience, you destroy what was growing. The people who succeed understand this simple truth. They stay brutal with their effort.
giving their best every single day, while being calm and patient about when the results will show. One of the greatest mistakes people make is underestimating how long success takes. They think 1 week of discipline should transform their body. They think 1 month of practice should bring mastery. They think 1 year of effort should bring wealth. When the results don't appear on their timeline, they assume it's not working, so they stop. And stopping resets everything. The person who could have succeeded ends up back at the starting line. Meanwhile, the person who stayed patient, who kept giving effort without demanding immediate results, eventually pulls ahead. Patience is not passive. It is not sitting back and doing nothing. It is an active choice to keep going without frustration, without desperation, without giving up. It is trusting that the process serves, even when it feels slow. Impatience makes you chase shortcuts. Shortcuts lead to weak foundations. Weak foundations collapse under pressure. Patience keeps you steady, and steadiness builds strength. That strength is what lasts. When you learn to stay brutal with your effort, you no longer rely on moods. You don't work hard only when you feel like it. You don't give a 100% only when results are visible. You give everything every day because that is who you are. That kind of work ethic is rare, but it is the reason some people succeed regardless of how many obstacles they face. Life cannot deny consistent, brutal effort. It has to reward it eventually. There's also a psychological shift that happens when you combine patience with effort. You stop comparing yourself to others. You stop obsessing over timelines. You focus on the only thing you can control, your input. And when you do that long enough, you create peace. That peace allows you to keep going without burning out. Comparison drains energy. Impatience drains energy. But patience saves energy. And that energy can be invested back into your effort. Success is not about speed. It is about endurance. The finish line belongs to those who stay in the race the longest, not those who sprint for a few days and then collapse. Brutal effort is the engine. Patience is the fuel tank. Without the combination, you will stall. With both, you can keep driving till you reach your destination. It is also important to understand that patience does not mean waiting forever without adjusting. You still evaluate your effort. You still refine your strategy, but you do not confuse a slow result with failure. You do not let temporary silence make you abandon the plan. Too many people change directions every time they don't see instant progress. They keep starting over, which keeps them at the beginning. The patient person keeps building on the same foundation, brick by brick, until the structure stands tall. Think about the pride you feel when you give your best, even without immediate recognition. That pride is worth more than quick results. Quick results fade. Pride from effort lasts. You know deep down that you are not cutting corners, not making excuses, not waiting for motivation. You are doing the work. That knowledge creates confidence that no lack of results can take away. And when the results finally arrive, they feel earned, not given. Every worthwhile achievement requires this balance. Building health, building wealth, building skills, building character. It all takes longer than you want it to. The results will test your patience. But if you allow patience to win, you become stronger than the frustration. Every day you continue to give effort without reward. You are training your character. You are proving that you value the long term over the short term. That kind of proof is exactly what makes success possible. You also learn something else. Results don't always show on the surface immediately. Sometimes your effort is building strength internally before you can see it externally. The workout that doesn't show visible change is still reshaping your body inside. The study session that feels unproductive is still training your brain to think sharp. The business decision that looks small today may open doors years later. Just because you don't see results yet doesn't mean they aren't coming. Patience allows you to trust that hidden progress is being made. When you commit to staying brutal with effort, people will note. They may not say anything at first. They may even doubt you. But over time, your consistency becomes undeniable. While others rise and fall with moods, you remain steady. While others burn out after a short burst, you keep building. Eventually, your results arrive. And when they do, they are far greater than those who tried to rush. This balance, patience with results, brutality with effort, is what creates unstoppable momentum. You don't waste energy being frustrated. You don't waste time chasing shortcuts. You channel all of your focus into what you can control and leave the rest to time. And time, combined with relentless effort, always delivers. So if you want to know whether you'll be successful, examine your relationship with effort and do you giving everything even when you see nothing? Do you trust the process long enough to let it work? Do you stay committed when the timeline stretches longer than expected? If your answer is yes, then your success is already written, because effort plus patience is undefeated. This is how you know you will be successful. You do not demand instant results. You do not reduce your effort just because progress feels slow. You give everything you have today and trust that tomorrow will take care of itself. You stay patient with results while staying brutal with effort. And in time, your life reflects the strength of that commitment. So here's the truth. This is how you know you'll be successful. It's not a secret. It's not hidden. It's in the way you live each day. The choices you make when no one is watching. The effort you give when results are slow. The discipline you show when comfort calls. These are the real signs. If you've seen yourself in these words, then you already know you're on the right track. If not, today is the best time to start proving it to yourself. Your future is shaped by the steps you take now, and every step you choose with discipline brings you closer to the life you want. Don't just leave inspired. Leave ready to act. Come back to this message whenever you need a reminder of who you're becoming, because every time you hear it, you'll feel stronger, clearer, and more certain that success is yours to claim.